Hey everybody! I'm so excited to be on here tonight. I'm super excited to share with you some really great tips and things that I have learned about just talking to potential distributors and how to attract the kind of people that you want on your team and just, getting in the right mindset so that you can grow your team and grow it the right way so that you can continue to reach for those promotions and help other people reach for their promotions and just, grow your team because that's really what this is all about, right? We're looking for people who need this business. We're looking to help people, and part of that includes trying to find the right people for your team. So the first thing that I really wanted to share with you guys tonight is just kind of making sure that you're in the right mindset. At conference when I went this year, there was some really, really great takeaways that I was able to learn. And I think the biggest thing for me was just making sure that we always have the right mindset. We want to make sure that we aren't so focused on us and what we need, and we are focused on, the people that we're talking to and what they need. So one of those things includes just making sure that, we're not in the business of convincing anyone. We're not in the business of trying to get people or trying to keep them interested in joining us. We always want to make sure that we are talking to people who truly 100% are interested in this business. They need this business. They need the opportunity and could really benefit from it. And I'm not saying that, people who maybe aren't struggling or something won't work hard or won't need this business, but I definitely think there's a difference between people who just want a little bit of extra spending money versus people who need it, if that makes any sense. When you need something, you're gonna work your butt off for it. You know what I mean? So the big thing is just making sure that you are trying to make sure that you aren't focused on you, because really at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's not about filling your chart. It's not about what promotion you're going after. It's not about where you're trying to be in the company, or how many distributors can I get because I need this many this week or this month or whatever. It is about finding people to help. And so part of that is just making sure that you're always thinking to yourself, how can I help this person? How can I help them to see that this business is what they need? This is what they need to change their situation, to change their life, to better whatever struggle that they have, to conquer it, to get rid of it. So honestly, the biggest thing, is just having that right mindset, always being focused on when you're in your conversations with PDTs, focusing on them and finding out their why. That's going to be very, very crucial, guys, is finding out why people want to join this business. What is it that interests them? What is it that drew them to this opportunity? So making sure that when you're talking to your potentials, you're asking them, what may I ask? What would this extra income help you with? Because that's going to tell you what it is that they need, and it's going to tell you just where their mindset is going to be. And this is how you're going to find people that need this business as much as perhaps maybe you do, or who are going to work just as hard as you do and run with you. And the big thing is you want to find people who are going to run, because I know that you guys are runners, and so you want to find people that are going to do the same thing, right? You don't want to sign 50 distributors to only have 10 people who work. You want to sign 50 distributors, and you want all 50 of them to be runners, right? So I think the biggest thing just to remember, guys, like I said in the beginning, is we're not in the business of convincing. If you have to convince someone to join your team, if you're begging them to sign up, if you feel like it's getting to a point where you're trying so hard to just keep them engaged and keep them interested, this probably isn't the business for them. They probably aren't going to work that hard. They probably are going to sign up and immediately regret it. They probably have a lot of doubts or skepticism already, and it's just not the right time for them. And that's okay. We have to learn to not try to convince people, not try to have it in our heads, how do I get them to join today? Whenever I get the feeling that maybe this isn't the right fit for someone, or maybe it's not the right time, if if they've told me or if I'm getting that feeling, then I might just say, like, that's okay, girl. You know what? I understand right now. It sounds like maybe it's not the best time for you, or it sounds like maybe, whatever, maybe this isn't the best fit for you. So, and then I usually just say, like, if later is better, like, I totally understand. Whenever you're ready, I'll be here. Like, I'll be here for you. I'll save a spot for you on my team for you, or, whatever. Like, I'm not telling people, like, I've only got 3 spots, so if you don't sign up today, you're gonna miss out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, when you're ready, I will be here for you and I will help you every step of the way. So, and I think that's just one of, like, the really big things to keep in mind, is that we don't need to make it seem like it's now or never, because if you're pressuring somebody into doing something now when they're not ready, it's not going to work out for you or for them. So, and we don't want that. We don't want people to regret the decisions that they made. We want them to sign up and feel pumped and excited and know that this is a really life-changing opportunity and they made the best decision, sorry, I had to move that. There's something going on with the lighting outside. For their family, right? And for them. So just getting that right mindset is like the first step. Focus on your days on, finding people that need this business or talking to people who need this business, focusing on, like, how can I, who can I help today? Who can I help join this business and change their life today? Instead of thinking, how can I sign a distributor today to fill that spot on my chart? You know what I mean? Like, so change your thinking just a little bit, and you'll start to, realize that there are people out there that need this business, and you have the key, you have what they need, and you'll find them. You will, I promise. My next thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is, if you are like, God, I need to sign some distributors. I really need to grow my team. Like, nobody's interested. I've messaged them. I've talked to them. Like, nobody really seems to be, like, interested, like, no thanks. I get a lot of that, or whatever. My next tip for you guys is going to be attracting distributors. You want to attract distributors, but you also want to attract the right people for your team, right? You don't want to just attract anybody. You want to attract people like you. So you have to think back to before you signed. What was it that you were seeing from the person you signed with that attracted you, right? And I guarantee you, you might have been pulled in by 1 or 2 posts that said, like, now hiring, make $500 from your phone from anywhere, work from social media, like, make $300 a month, whatever, right? You might have been initially attracted by that, but maybe over time you were seeing their posts, their deeper posts, those life posts, and those are what made you think, like, God, I need that. I need whatever it is that she's doing, because I'm watching her and I'm watching her change her life, and I'm looking at her story, and every time I read her story, it just really, it hits close to home. You know what I mean? Like, those are the kinds of things you guys need to be thinking about when you're making those life posts. And you might be thinking, well, I'm new. How do I make a life post if I, like, haven't even got my first commissions check? Like, how do I do that, right? So that's okay. So you don't have to, the first thing is, you don't have to be making a diamond paycheck to make a good life post, okay? You can talk about what the business is going to do for you. You can talk about what this business is allowing you to dream now versus, like, where your dreams were before this business. You can talk about why, like, what this business has brought into your life so far. Maybe you are feeling a lot of support and encouragement from the team, and it's making you feel really motivated. And maybe you're doing self-development, and it's teaching you how to believe in yourself and just have, like, a better positive mindset and positive outlook on life. You can talk about, like, for me, like, before I was making, like, a diamond paycheck or whatever, a lot of times I was talking about, like, what this business was gonna do for me. Like, it's going to help me pay off my credit cards that, like, I have had for years and years, and I've never had an extra dollar to my name. And this business is gonna help me use, it's going to help me have an extra dollar to my name and have a savings account, but it's also going to help me to get caught up on my bills financially where I might have been falling behind. You know what I mean? I would talk about how because of this business, I was going to be able to travel way more, which is something that I never thought I would ever be able to do because, I mean, I couldn't even pay my bills. How was I going to travel? How was I going to go anywhere and see the world? Like, yeah, okay. I can't even like pay my freaking, my SMUD bill every month, let alone travel to Hawaii, for instance, or whatever. So, like, just think about like things, and it doesn't even have to be big things, you guys. Like, that's the main thing I think you need to realize. It doesn't have to be this huge thing like this business is going to make me help me pay off $30,000 in student loan debt that I've had for 12 years. Like, it doesn't have to be something really crazy. It could even be something simple like, I know a lot of times I would post about, you know what, this business allowed me to not have to work 40 hours a week. Like, I cut back my hours. I remember at my full time job, and I was able to only have to work like 30 hours a week, which, I still had to work 30 hours a week. But when I was a full time student, working 40 hours a week and taking 5 classes trying to finish my bachelor's, like that was hard. I was always tired. But when I was able to cut back my hours by 10 hours, it made a huge difference for me. And so just being able to talk about how, like, making the extra income from my phone allowed me to have more time and more freedom. And like, it didn't necessarily mean that I was like free every single day. It didn't mean I was able to quit my job and had total freedom, but it did give me more freedom. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it gave me the ability to dream big. And like, when you talk about those dreams, those things that you like thought were never possible, that you hold deep down inside, those are going to be the things that draw people in. Those are going to be the things that people are going to look at and they're going to go, wow. And you know what? Your struggles to you, like our struggles, always feel like, to us, not like, it just feels like it's just us. Do you know what I mean? Like, whenever you're struggling in life, you guys, doesn't it always just feel like it's just you? Like nobody else is feeling that way. I know for me, like, I used to think like, God, my life freaking sucks. And you know what's funny is, what I needed to realize is I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only one struggling with credit card debt. I wasn't the only student who was also working 40 hours a week trying to make ends meet, like living check to check. Like, I just wasn't. And so that was something that like I had to realize. And I think the big thing to realize is that it's important to share those struggles, because you never know who else might be going through that same thing, and who is going to be touched by your story, who's going to say, God, that's my life. That's my life. And I wish that I was doing whatever she was doing, because it looks like her life is about to get exponentially better and mine looks like it's going nowhere. Do you know what I mean? So, honestly, guys, I think that like you just need to remember to dig really deep. Don't think that just because you're new, you don't have anything to share, because you do. You have a story. You have something to share with people. You just got to find it within yourself to dig deep and really get vulnerable. You need to be vulnerable, and you need to share why you joined. You need to share what this business is allowing you to dream of. You need to share what it's doing for you, for your family, the stress that it's relieving, the struggles it's going to end for you, and the things it's going to allow you to do in your future. And that is like what is going to get the kind of people and attract the kind of people that need this business, and the kind of people you want on your team. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, it's just the big thing they talked about at conference was making people feel something. And I just can't stress that enough. Like, making people feel something when you're talking to them, when you're posting, that's really important. But like, seriously, if you guys are having a hard time signing distributors, it's because you're not doing live posts. You need to do live posts, and you need to do them like every single day, every day. And it can be something small. It can be, I think we've talked about it before. We've seen the ones where it's like, it works paid for my gas today, or it works bought me Starbucks today, or it could be something big. It could be like, it works helped me make an extra payment on this, or whatever. Or it could just be, I'm dreaming of taking my family to, whatever destination, and previously I thought we were never going to be able to do that, and now we're finally able to start making that dream a reality. And I can't even believe that. Like, my mind is blown. Because I remember when I planned my trip to Hawaii, and I was like, I thought I wasn't going to be able to afford to do that for like 10 years. I was like, I'm going to be like 40 by the time I get to go to Hawaii. And I literally went to Hawaii last year. So that's that's just some examples for you guys. I always like to share about my dreams of having a family and being a stay-at-home mom, and how I used to think that was never possible, but now it is. And um, I try to just get really deep and talk about how I used to like worry, like how could I ever become a mom if I was struggling so bad because I couldn't support myself. So how could I support like a family or provide for my children? Um, so yeah, I mean, if you guys need help with life posts or you're like looking for ideas, go into Chasing Diamonds. There is a post in there. If you search life posts, it'll pop up. And if you go to the comments in it, it has a whole bunch of ideas. Like talk about a time where you thought that, you weren't going to be able to pay a bill and what did you do? And talk about a time where, you had to put food back when you were in the grocery store checkout line. How did that make you feel? And how thanks to it works, you're not going to have to feel that way ever again. Talk about maybe a time when you weren't able to fill your gas tank and how much of a blessing it is just to be able to fill your gas tank every week without having to worry. You can talk about a time when a pet had an emergency and you needed to do something and take them to the vet and it was really expensive, or your child, got really sick and you needed to take them to the doctor and you didn't have the money to do all the things that you needed to do, and like it was really stressful for you because you had to figure it out. Talk about a time when maybe you weren't going to be able to pay one of your utility bills. What were you going to do? Like maybe you did fall behind, maybe you did let it rack up for a while and then you were able to catch back up. It's just about like remembering those little struggles that at the time they definitely felt like big struggles, but when you look back at it now, you're like, whatever. Like I never, like, I mean, I definitely had to put stuff back at checkout line, but sometimes I think that like I forget, like I forget what a blessing it is now that I get to go to the grocery store and I don't even have to second guess what's going in my cart. Like I know that I'm going to be able to pay for it and it's not a problem. So, and I think that if you think more about all the things that you're grateful for now, you'll be able to remember more of the things that you struggled with a while ago, or, back in your past. And then you'll think about the feelings that made you feel. And then that's what you need to do. You need to think about the times that you did struggle, and then you need to think about how you felt inside, and then you need to share that. You need to project it. So that's life posts. And that is how you attract potential people for your team. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is just making sure that when you are having conversations with people that you're keeping it really simple. Don't overwhelm people. You never want to ask people, or send messages that, have like just tons of things. So let me just think. Like, I would say like you only want to answer one question at a time. Just like your LC post, you answer their question about the product, and then they say, okay, how much is it? And then you tell them how much it is, and then they say, well, what's the 90-day challenge? And then you tell them the 90-day challenge. You don't say, this is hair, skin, and nails. It costs this much, and this is a 90-day challenge. What do you think? Because you don't want to overwhelm them, right? It's the same with your potential distributors, guys. You want to keep it really simple. I have basically the same conversation every single time, and I'm going to share it with you. Obviously I change it up when I'm talking to people, who maybe they do know a little bit about it works, or they have different answers, or maybe they have a different question or concern. But for the most part, like my conversations are the same. Every time that someone says they're interested in this business to me, I ask for their number and I take the conversation to my cell phone, and I do it through texting, because it's just better to text because you can just have way better conversation. It's easier to keep in touch and keep track of these people. But anyways, basically once I get their number, I'm just like, hey, it's so-and-so, right? So it's Sally, right? It's Danielle from Instagram. How are you? Usually they answer and I'm like, that's great, blah, blah. So you'd like more info on what I do, right? And then, they're going to say, yeah, I want more information. And I'm like, awesome. So I'm a distributor for It Works Global. Have you ever heard of it? And then Sally usually says, no, I've never heard of it. Or, yes, I've heard of it, but I've never tried anything. Or sometimes I get, is it that crazy rap thing? Or is it that weird rap? Or, whatever. My next question or my next message usually is always the same. Most people say they haven't heard of it or they have, but they haven't tried any products. So usually my response is, that's okay. Let me give you some background. We are a health and wellness company, been in business since 2001, and debt free. We offer all plant-based products for a ton of different things, and then I list some of the things. You guys know the drill. Something for everyone, and then I just ask, I say we make money through network marketing. Do you know much about that? Most people say no, because most people don't know much about network marketing. And then I just say, hey, I didn't know anything either before I started, but myself and my team can teach you. We basically use social media to interact with people, in parentheses, networking. We share about product and post about, we share and post about the products and our opportunity, parentheses, marketing. Since we use social media as our platform, our customer base is always growing. We are offered worldwide in many different countries. So if you have 10 to 15 minutes here throughout your day to post and send messages, you can be successful. Do you think you'd be able to fit that into your schedule? Most people are like, yeah, absolutely. I'm on my phone all the time, or I'm always on social media, or whatever. Only sometimes do I get people who are like, I'm not really sure. Which, when you run into those weird moments, like, you can definitely ask us. But we're just talking about the mass right now. So most people are saying, yeah, of course, or I'm on Instagram, Facebook all the time. My next response is always, perfect. We have an amazing team, tons of resources and support. We'll teach you everything you need to know. You'll never be alone. May I ask what you would do with the extra income or how it would help you? And that's when they tell me why they need this business, right? They're going to tell me I need it for bills, I need it to help with school, I need to bring in extra income for my family because my husband works and I'm not, I need to do this and this. Like, they're going to tell you what it is that that they need from this business. Usually, my next message is really long-winded, you guys. I usually always empathize with whatever struggle they're going through. Sometimes if it's something I can relate to, then I will let them know that I really understand what they're going through. But my next message is just it tells my story. And that's what you guys need to do, is you need to tell your story to your potentials. I usually am always like, I understand. It's like basics. I understand because XYZ, maybe I had that problem too. This business can help you with so much, this business can help you with all of that and so much more, right? Because we want them to know that this business is the solution to whatever it is that they're struggling with. And then I explain, when I got into this business, I was working 40 hours a week. I was a full-time student. I was always tired. And I was struggling and living check to check because that was my life for 7 years. And I remember feeling like I'd never be able to get ahead or catch up on life. And then I saw my friend posting about the business. She messaged to ask if I was interested. And when she told me about the startup fee, parentheses, $99, even though I didn't have it, I figured I'd spent $100 on a lot stupider things. So what did I have to lose, right? So what I did was I charged $99 on a practically maxed out credit card. You might want to let people know whatever it is that you did to join, but this is where you guys want to tell your story, So basically you want to talk about like what your struggles were, why you can relate to whatever it is they're struggling with. So maybe you're not a student, but you do work 40 hours a week and you're a mom and you wish you could be home with your kids more, and maybe you are living check to check. Maybe you're on food stamps. Maybe you just are tired of never being able to see your family. Maybe you have a lot of debt accumulated from student loans from when you were a student and you feel like you're never going to be able to pay it off. Maybe you're out on leave from work and or you can't find a job lately, and I don't know, like you need to figure out what your story is and you need to share that. That's what you need to tell people when it gets to this point. You need to share why it is that you understand what it's like to struggle or what it is, whatever it is that they're feeling, and you need to share what it was that you were dealing with when you joined and why you joined, basically. And then you need to tell them how you felt when you found out it was $99 and what you did to come up with the $99 to join, because then they're going to feel like, okay, so it's not just me. It's not just me being like, I don't have $99. Like, she didn't have $99 either, but she had to figure it out, or he, or whatever. And then talk about where you're at now. For me, like, I always go into, so far, like, since joining this business, like, why it was a good decision, why it's helped me so far. And then I talk about how I would love to teach them everything that I've done to be successful, and that I usually say, like, I just know in my heart how much this business can help you, because I truly believe that everybody could benefit from the extra income from this business if they are just willing to work for it. Because this business has truly changed my life, and I know it can change theirs too. And so I just let people know. And then I always say, if you're ready to invest in your future, then I'm ready to help you run every step of the way. What do you think? And that's it. And that's my question. And you know what? Just always asking those questions has really helped me. There might be times where you guys might get people who maybe you tell them, let's just go through a couple weird situations. Like, yeah, I've never heard of It Works. And then you go through the, okay, let me give you some background, and you tell them about it. And before they answer, do you know much about network marketing? They might say, okay, well, how much is it to join? Or does it cost to do this? The biggest tip I can tell you is when somebody starts asking too soon, how much is it to join? Or does it cost? Or do I have to pay? Is that you should start asking them questions. Start asking them things that make them feel like it's kind of like an interview, so it puts you back in control of the conversation. And also because you're going to get a better feel, honestly, with some of these questions if that person is someone who you want on your team anyways. Just because maybe you do tell them how much it is and they do have the $99, but maybe they're not really someone you'd want to work with or someone who's a good fit. But I usually start asking questions like before I answer that. Like I'll read it and it'll say like, so how much is it to start? And then my next question is like, well, do you think that you would work well on a team with others? And then like usually they're like, yeah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, okay, great. And do you consider yourself goal driven and someone who's, motivated? And, they'll usually answer that. And then I'm like, okay, great. And then I'm like, and then I'll tell them a little bit about what we do. Like I might actually just send the network marketing message, but I won't say like, I will like change the top part. So instead of saying like, hey, I didn't know anything about it either. Usually I'll just start saying, well, that's great. I think you'd be a good fit. Here's what we do. And then I share, we basically use social media for X, Y, and Z to do blah, blah, blah. And then end it with, can you fit that into your schedule? And then usually they answer those questions. And so then it just kind of puts you back into the driver's seat and also gives you a better feel of this person. Because obviously if they're like, no, I'm not really motivated. No, I'm not really goal driven. No, I don't really like working with other people. Then maybe you don't want them on your team. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that's really important too to think about is like, you don't want anybody on your team. You know what I'm saying? Like, remember, like I said before, like you might sign 50 distributors and only 10 work, but like, hey, I'd rather sign only 10 distributors who are working than signing 50 distributors and then only have 10 work. You know what I'm saying? So, because it takes a lot of your time and energy and effort to sign up people and help them, and then it turns out that they're not even working this business. So you want to find the right people for your team. You want to attract the right kind of people for your team, and you want to find people who need this so you can help them, because we are in the business of helping people, you guys, and that's what we need to think about. How can I help people? And we need to make our posts about how we can help people and how this business can help them, how it can change their life, their situation, how by sharing how much it's changed your life and your situation and what it's allowing you to do and dream and so on and so forth, because that's what this business is all about, you guys. It's not about you. It's not about promoting to Ruby and Emerald and Diamond and above. It's about helping other people, because if you're not helping people, guess what? You're not going to go anywhere. You're just not. And so, that's pretty much all I've got for you guys. I'm definitely going to drop down below some of the examples of the messages that I'm sending out when it comes to my conversations with PDTs. So I'll drop some of my examples. If you guys run into any questions, feel free to drop them below. I'd be happy to answer them. I'm definitely going to be sharing some more probably life post ideas. And then I think that post actually in Chasing Diamonds, when you search for life posts, will pop up. But I think I'm going to change it so you guys can start tagging your new DTs in it. Just make sure that you tell them to scroll up and read the comments. Because I think that commenting has been turned off so that you wouldn't have to like scroll through all the tags. But I would say just make sure that you have them, if it gets to a point where they can't see the previous comments, where all those live post ideas are, just make sure that you tell them like, hey, make sure that you're scrolling up to the top of the comments and reading through them, because those are going to be where the thread of all the ideas are for different life posts. And it's also going to go through why those are important as well on there again for them too. So, anyways, if you guys have any questions for me, like I said, drop them below, tag me in them. I'd be happy to answer them for you. I don't want you guys to think that by any means that like, that this is the only way to do things. There's definitely like 1,000 ways to do things, but I'm just like the things that I have been doing lately and the way I've been like focusing my conversations and shifting my thought process from how do I get people and how do I convince them and how do I make them and how do I help them to understand and whatever, like instead of thinking that way and thinking more about how I can help people and how I can show them that this business is going to help them and their situation, the more successful I have been at finding the right kinds of people for my team. And my conversations have just been going so much better with people, and I'm getting to know them on a more personal level. So I really do think that the best thing that you guys can do for your business is just learn how to open up and be more vulnerable so that you can help people to feel something both in your conversations and in your posting, and B, just shifting your mindset. Just shifting that mindset is going to be huge for you. And if you guys have any questions about that, like I said, drop them below and I'd be happy to answer them. So, okay. You guys have a great night. Bye.